functionality is contained in our brains. And as soon as the energy stops flowing through our brains, then there goes our personality, there goes our consciousness, there goes everything. There's no empirical evidence for any of the topics that he listed. So therefore, there's no reason for us to believe that.
So there's no empirical evidence for things like seeing God, uh, seeing the soul, all these sorts of things. Of course, there's no empirical evidence for something that's not empirical. So empirical means using the five senses, right? Your senses like taste, touch, smell, hearing, sight, right? Um, Now, why would I expect if those senses, those empirical navigators, let's call them, if they are tuned to only pick up the natural world, why would I expect for them to detect anything that is not in the natural world? I shouldn't expect that. They can't. In principle, they can't in principle pick up anything in the supernatural if they're not attuned to the supernatural. They can only detect and pick up things in the natural world. So this is a common complaint with atheists, with skeptics, the idea that, well, no empirical, well, of course there's not empirical. There won't be direct empirical evidence. There can be indirect empirical evidence, sure, right? So there can be direct empirical evidence. Sorry, there can be indirect empirical evidence of some efficacy of prayer, right? And this is what psychologists of religion do. This is what people do in the lab. They assume that God doesn't exist, and they just look at the efficacy of what you said in a chant or in a prayer or whatever, and they look, that's something that's directly observable. I can see you doing the prayer, and then I can see whether the cancer that you prayed for was healed. That's it. That's directly observable. That's empirical. But what I can't empirically observe, in principle, because it's not possible, because it's not natural, I can't directly empirically observe anything supernatural. So I don't see why this is an objection, to be honest with you. I don't see why this is a problem at all. And sorry, I didn't say earlier to hello to John. Oh, there you are. Okay, good to see you. And I have an email to get back to with you. So perhaps we'll see. We'll see.
Exists.
Chances are the answer is no, which has led many in the modern world to conclude that there is nothing to life but the physical world. For materialists, as they're called, we are nothing more than a collection of cells, a series of firing neurons giving the illusion of consciousness, but ultimately just bags of flesh.
I mean, that's a really reductionist kind of way of viewing it. Like, yeah,
It's a reductionist way of viewing it because atheists can be, well, let's say, I won't even throw atheists under the bus. I'll say naturalists are necessarily reductionist about this.
in the grand scheme of things, like objectively outside of human emotion and
Let me follow up with what I said there. I don't want to just drop a bomb on you and just not claim it. Naturalists are necessarily reductionistic about this. You are just a bag of bones and flesh. That's it. Now, you can be an atheist and be a non-naturalist. Like, and many people in academic philosophy take this route. I don't think it's tenable, but I think it's respectable, right? So I think that to be a naturalist or a materialist is a really untenable position. Because I mean, so here's why. So if naturalism is true, that means that only the natural world exists. Like, no, in other words, like it's an anti-supernatural sort of position, right? And it's not just anti-supernatural, but it's anti-anything non-natural. So it would exclude things like numbers, colors, so on and so forth, any universals, any transcendentals, anything like that in philosophy. Now, I've done philosophy enough that I've encountered some really powerful and knockdown, drag-out arguments that really devastate the naturalistic and materialistic position. If you like, I can show you these, but it's called the waning of materialism. I think there's like 26 philosophers in that volume that I think that was published in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, Oxford University Press. So it's really good, credentials there. I'll tell you something. I've not been published in Oxford University Press. Let's just say that you don't just get that as your free card just because you got a doctorate and several degrees or something like that. So it's top-notch research there. And published in 2010, like I said, and it's got, I think, 26 different chapters and contributors in there that all have, their academic philosophers all have concerns about materialism. And it doesn't see that John is aware of this, but hopefully you are now.